After 2 full years had passed since Pharaoh's cupbearer was restored to his position, Pharaoh had a dream that he was standing on the bank of the Nile River when out of the river came 7 cows, healthy and plump, and they grazed among the reeds. Then behold, another 7 cows, ugly, sickly and thin, came up out of the Nile after them, and stood by the healthy cows on the bank of the Nile, and the ugly thin cows ate up the 7 fine plump cows. And Pharaoh awoke, but he fell asleep again and had a second dream. This time he saw 7 heads of grain, plump and beautiful, growing on a single stalk. Then 7 more heads of grain appeared, but these were shriveled and withered by the east wind. And these thin heads swallowed up the 7 plump, well-formed heads. Then Pharaoh woke up again and realized it was a dream. Thus in the morning his mind was troubled, so he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but no one could interpret them for him. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, "My king, I remember my offences today. Some time ago, when you were angry with me and the chief baker and imprisoned us in the palace of the captain of the guard, there came one night when both the chief baker and I had dreams, and each dream had its own meaning. Now a young Hebrew was there with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us, giving each man the interpretation of his dream. And things turned out exactly as he interpreted them to us. I was restored to my position, and the other man was impaled." So Pharaoh sent for Joseph at once, and he was quickly brought from the dungeon. When he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to him, "I had a dream last night, and no one here can tell me what it means. But I have heard that when you hear about a dream, you can interpret it." But Joseph replied, "It is beyond my power to do this, but God will tell Pharaoh what it means and set Pharaoh at ease." And so Pharaoh began to narrate his dream, saying, "In my dream, I was standing on the bank of the Nile River when I saw 7 fat, healthy cows come up out of the river and begin grazing in the reed grass. But then I saw 7 sick-looking cows, scrawny and thin, come up after them. I've never seen such sorry-looking animals in all the land of Egypt, and the thin, ugly cows ate up the 7 plump cows. But when they had eaten them, no one would have known that they had eaten them, for they were still as ugly and thin as at the beginning. Then I awoke. But soon after I went back to sleep and had another dream. In this dream, I also saw 7 heads of grain, full and beautiful, growing on a single stalk. Then 7 more heads of grain appeared, but these were blighted, shriveled, and withered by the east wind, and the shriveled heads swallowed the 7 healthy heads. I told these dreams to the magicians, but no one could tell me what they mean." And Joseph said to him, "Both of Pharaoh's dreams are one and the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 healthy cows and the 7 healthy heads of grain both represent 7 years of prosperity, while the 7 thin, scrawny cows that came up later and the 7 thin heads of grain withered by the east wind represent 7 years of famine. It is just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt, and then 7 years of famine will follow them, and all the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will ravage the land. This famine will be so severe that even the memory of the good years will be erased. The reason the dream was given to Pharaoh in 2 forms is that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. Now therefore let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land to take 1/5 of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. Let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Have them gather all the food produced in the good years that are just ahead and bring it to Pharaoh's storehouses. Store it away and guard it so there will be food in the cities. This way there will be enough to eat when the 7 years of famine come to the land of Egypt so that the land may not perish through the famine." Joseph's advice pleased Pharaoh and all his officials, and Pharaoh asked his officers, "Can we find anyone like this man in whom the Spirit of God abides?" And then he said to Joseph, "Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. I am Pharaoh, but without your word, no one will lift hand or foot in all of Egypt. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you. I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." And Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in robes of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. Then he had Joseph ride in the chariot reserved for his second in command. And wherever Joseph went, the command was shouted, "Make way, bow the knee." Joseph was now in charge of all of Egypt. And Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zaphenath-Paneah, and gave him the woman, Asenath, daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, to be his wife. Joseph was 30 years old at this time when he began serving in the court of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt.